issued a is it just a tornado watch for Houston area? Was that recently issued? Did I just see that?
I'm not sure. There are spin-ups along the line, though.
Yeah.
City of Dallas was under a tornado warning for a little while.
We are live.
Has anybody seen any video any tornado wise out there today?
Yeah, I saw
some
one
stuff
earlier. Yeah,
I didn't see anything huge, but
Where did you see? What did you see, Garrett? Was it that stuff in southeast Oklahoma?
It was, I believe, in Texas. It was by Brad Arnold.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nothing compared to what we had in Ohio yesterday. What's that, Brady?
Nothing like what we had compared in Ohio a couple of days ago.
Right.
Pretty ridiculous. I think we had a total about 3 tornadoes that lasted maybe a combined 2 minutes. So
yeah,
it's pretty epic stuff.
That's pretty par for here. So hey, if you happen to be tuning in, watching us live, or if you're watching the stream after the fact, welcome to Stormfront Freaks Raw. We call it Raw because this is the recording of our audio podcast. So thanks for joining us. This is episode 178. We've got Global Storm Chaser James Reynolds is going to be with us. He's our guest tonight. We've got hashtag Weather Fools. I've got like 6, and that's not even all of them because we've gone 2 episodes with no Weather Fools. So I've just been collecting them for the last month. But we've got Weather Trollbot coming on. This is going to be a good show tonight, so looking forward to it. So again, if you want to join us live, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/stormfrontfreaks. And you can become one of our teammates and get a chance to actually join us live when we're with our guests. And we have a lot of fun doing that. So,
hey, Phil, while we're at it, can we also encourage anybody, actually all 9 of us, if everyone here went to stormfrontfreaks.com this minute and checked the homepage, there's a new Phil, don't ruin it. There's a new poll. There's a new poll up for the best state to chase in. Minnesota. So go to stormfrontfreaks.com, our new poll up, and vote for the new poll, the question, which is best state to chase in.
And California is not one of the options.
Yeah, California.
Just to kind of let people know.
They're all kind of like heart of Tornado Alley stuff.
But Greg, thanks for getting that up and the survey up and all that stuff. I appreciate it. Looks good. And where'd you get the inspiration for the cows and going green and all that? That was,
you know what, Phil, brief. when you're creative when you're creative like me, Phil, sometimes these it just hits you right out of the blue. I don't know. I can't explain it. Ooh.
So I've got 4 sounds labeled A, B, C, D on my mixer, and I have no idea what they are. So I just hit one, and it just gives me whatever.
Hey, it's amazing that it's working because I think the last time I was on, we had to do like the phone sounds or something, which
it could be.
They were pretty good. By the way, James, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm feeling honored to be on the podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
We're excited to have you. So thrilled.
No, I'm not. I'm looking forward to learning a lot from you guys. As
God,
we're
in trouble, buddy.
Don't get your hopes
You're
up.
in fucking
I've never seen
trouble.
a tornado before.
You are.
I'm 3 margaritas in, so you're not going to learn anything from me.
Are you really?
Tornadoes.
I just went out to dinner with the family, so. Yeah.
James, you and I are the only 2 that actually speak the King's English. The rest of these storm clowns are talking American, so you're gonna have a hard time understanding them.
All right. So on that note, did co-host? Did all of you get your team closes that I just sent before the show? So it would have just showed up
Moments ago.
But just so you've got that, I was kind of late getting this out. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do our teaser. So I'll do a quick teaser. And then we'll start the opening. I'm going to talk again about Patreon. I am going to bring up the survey and ask people to go to stormfrontfreaks.com to fill out the survey. And then we'll introduce our co-hosts that are here, what you're drinking. And then, Greg, you've got James's intro.
All right.
Do you have that from the agenda?
I do. I just got to pull it up. I actually forgot until you just said it.
That's all right. That's all right. I love you guys. I spend a week putting this shit together. You guys show up and what?
James is going to learn a lot about what not to do.
You guys seriously have to know though how amazing Phil is. Like when we were at the National Storm Chaser Summit, like he thinks of everything. Like if Phil weren't here, I don't know if we'd have a podcast. I'm just gonna say that because like
you'd have a podcast, it just wouldn't look as good.
It would just be me. It would just be me talking about cats. That's all.
Yeah, we wouldn't have guests. We wouldn't have anything.
There'd be no guests.
One less forehead.
So, Greg, you got the. That's true.
Yeah,
Greg,
I got the intro.
Okay,
intro, yeah.
James, you have any questions? So we'll go about this first segment here with questions and answers. We'll go about 30 minutes, and then we'll take a break. And then we'll come out of the break and do some more questions and answers and play our game show, all that stuff. But we'll go about 30 minutes on this first one. Okay? And are you on a time crunch for anything that we got to get you out of here at a certain time?
Yeah, nah, all good.
Awesome.
And what time is it there, James?
11 o'clock in the morning. So
Tomorrow.
He's in the future, so if
He's in
anybody
the future, right
wants to know who won the game tomorrow,
You
or
make it to tomorrow. That's a good
You know
thing.
what? I'd take that. If I could skip having to wake up in the morning, I'd take that every time. Put me at 11 o'clock. We're good.
that's interesting. All right,
Hey, are VIPs hanging out with us, or are we sending them to the green room?
they can hang out. Well, we got a few people. I don't care.
It's balanced.
Let him
right now.
hang. Let him hang.
You guys can hang. I'll just still have you stay
Yeah.
muted. It gets too hard when we get too many people talking at once, and so yeah. All right, hanging. You guys ready? All right, let's do the teaser. Coming in, 3, 2. Hey, Storm Freaks, it's Phil. Hey, we're chasing storms across the globe. We've got Earth Uncut TV's James Reynolds. And we've been hoarding hashtag weather fools, and we're bringing out Weather Trollbot 5000. It's all on episode 178 of the Storm Front Freaks podcast. All right. And I should ask you, like, do any of you ever actually listen to the edited show after we've done it? Okay. To understand how that like plays in, it plays in pretty good. But when you do it while we're recording it, it kind of sucks. But
By the way,
the
green greenage thing, that was from the podcast. That's where I got the inspiration for that.
Good. Yeah. All right. That's cool.
Phil, I just started listening like 6 months ago. Now I've been addicted. So I've been binging them. I know.
That's where all our downloads came from.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Here we go. We're coming in. 3, 2. Oh, hold on. Sorry, MJ. I didn't have my sound. 3, 2. Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast. This is the award-winning Stormfront Freaks podcast, and it's brought to you by the Atmosphere Weather app. Hey, most weather apps, you know, they're going to require you to swipe, and you got to tap this way and that way just to get all the information you want. Well, Atmosphere Weather, it provides your hourly forecast on one screen in a 24-hour clock, and it's really cool. It's got the radar right in the middle of that donut. So you can try it free on your iPhone at atmosphereweather.com or your iPhone app store. Hey, thanks also to all of our Patreon teammates. We got a great group of people here that have been joining up, but thanks for supporting the show. We've got our VIPs in the studio, all three. We've got Dan and Garrett and Angela here tonight. I'm looking to see if we've got anybody checked in yet on YouTube, but you can also join our Patreon team. We've got multiple levels of perks, exclusive merch. You can find our Patreon link at stormfrontfreaks.com. And thanks for everybody that's joined the team. I also want to share with you that all of you listening or watching, we need your help. We don't ask for a whole lot of help for things, but we probably should. But this is definitely one.
Oversight.
Yeah, but this is definitely one. We ask you to go to stormfrontfreaks.com. There's two things we want you to do there. Number one, Greg has been putting together a really cool website, and he keeps kind of making it better every time he jumps on, and I love it. So, Greg, thank you. But he's got a new question. What do you?
Poll.
Sorry, a poll, right? Is that what you call it in Canada?
Poll.
So it's called a poll. What's your favorite state in the U.S. to chase in? And so you can go on there and join the poll and let us know that. But the other thing we really need you to do is we have a quick little 4-minute survey that we're trying to get as many people to help us out with as possible. And that's right at the stormfrontfreaks.com, right on the homepage, right at the top. If you can go through that 4-minute survey, and at the end, you can leave your email address if you'd like and enter a prize drawing we're giving away some Midland radio products. There's a trucker cap. There's a handheld weather radio. There's some Stormfront Freak swag, a water bottle and stuff. But we'd really appreciate if you could complete that. Thanks for everybody that already has. You're the best. But we're just trying to get information about maybe what we should be doing in the future. So thanks for doing that. And if you've listened to the show, you know it's always happy hour when we record. And it's also a great way to find out which of our co-hosts are joining us tonight. So let's go around the horn and find out who's here and what they're drinking. MJ up in Minnesota, our Skywarn County Coordinator. What are you drinking, sir?
Well, it's what is in MJ's refrigerator tonight, and I found a Sam Adams Jacko pumpkin ale. Yum.
Fresh. Alcohol gets better the longer it stands, right? Or sits, or yeah. That's what I hear. All right, Jen Watson, our Weather Channel contributor and former meteorologist. What are you drinking?
I am drinking. You guys can't get upset at me. Just hot chocolate and coffee. But Phil watched me drink, and Dan.
It's true.
In person at the National Storm Chaser Summit. I did drink. Yes.
She did. Yeah. It was good. What'd you like? Did you just have one? What?
I had two.
You did. You had two. Okay.
It
was legit. She did.
All right.
She did. All right. Brady Harris, our atmospheric science grad. What are you drinking, Brady?
Jen, I'm loving that because I used to be that person that they would always be like, "Are you actually drinking?" And so I'm just glad you're here, so they don't do that to me anymore. But I'm drinking a nice Labatt Blue in honor of our Canadian brothers. I'm a couple margaritas deep, so hopefully I hold it together. But that's what I'm drinking.
I love it.
Labatt, read that label again. What's the brand?
Okay, I realize now it says Labatt, but
there you go.
I will always call it Labatt from now on.
It would only be fitting if you did. All right, Greg Johnson, our storm chaser up in Canada. What are you drinking, Greg?
Phil, it's March, and that means springtime up here in Canada. It's only -9 Celsius today, so I'm having a pina colada.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah,
-9.
Yeah, but I mix it
blended
differently. Mine is Canadian whiskey and Coke.
Nice.
They drink a little different up there in Canada. They do. So, all right, Greg, who do we got tonight? Let's get to James.
Well, we've got a real special guest with us tonight, gang. James Reynolds grew up in the UK, lives in Japan. He's a global storm chaser, and he chases everything cyclonic, volcanoes, and cold weather. Weird. James is the founder of Earth Uncut TV, appears on global news reports, licenses footage to productions ranging from weather documentaries and even, guys, imagine this, the movie Sharknado has some of James's footage. Hopefully, James, was it the footage of actual sharks flying around in the air? Is that what you got?
I wish. That's still on my top to get shot list. Now, it was unfortunately some kind of random boring shots through the windscreen, but no, definitely a peak of my career, credit wise.
Right on. So you and I have been following each other for a while, and obviously we took a little bit of time off during COVID, but you've been in Japan now for 6 years. Is that right? Six years?
Yeah.
So how does a guy from the UK tell us that story? How do you end up in Japan?
Yeah, it's been a long circular route. So basically, when I was in college, I did Chinese studies, and part of those studies took me to Taiwan back in 2005. I kind of fell in love with Asia, spent some time in China. Once I graduated, I was living in China for a while, just kind of hanging out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. And that's where I got a job in video and TV production there. Met a lovely woman who I eventually married. We moved to Hong Kong, raised a family there, and then six years ago we moved to Tokyo, where my wife was originally from. So it's been this kind of random circular route, which has brought me here.
So, okay, cyclones, we get the typhoon thing. We understand that. We're going to get to that. Volcanoes. I think we can all imagine what's going on there.
Greg, I don't think I can. I think I'm going to need some more on that.
I need to talk.
Yeah,
we'll get to that, but I'm going to need some more.
We'll get to it, but start, James, with cold weather. What the hell does an extreme weather guy shoot when it comes to cold weather in Japan?
Well, this completely was not on my radar before I moved here. And a lot of people I don't think realize that Japan is, and I'm just going to come out and say it, the snowiest country in the world. Literally,
Really?
Tokyo gets no snow. Tokyo
Really?
gets no snow, maybe once or twice a year. You drive 3 hours north of here. I'm talking, 150 miles? And you're in the snowiest towns in the world. I'm talking about...
give us some numbers. Give us numbers. How many feet? How many
towns,
meters of snow?
10 meters. So what's that?
30 feet.
Wow.
30 feet?
Yeah.
Easily. And we're not talking about mountain villages at 10,000 feet. We're talking about urban areas with major railroads, highways, tens of thousands of people living in these towns and cities, which get buried in snow every year. And when I came, I grew up in the UK. We don't get snow there either. If we do, it's, 1 inch of horrible slushy crap. So I was like a kid, oh my gosh, I got all this snow on my doorstep. I love snow. I'm going to go play in it as much as possible. So yeah,
Wow.
It's kind of my annual pilgrimage.
James,
love that.
how's their infrastructure? Is it like do they handle snow well? I'm assuming if they get 30 feet a year, they've got to have, good plows and stuff, right?
It's amazing. Like Japan has a very expensive highway toll system, which I always grumble about until the winter when you are in the middle of a massive CFX snow outbreak. And most of the time the highways stay open and you see these convoys of the coolest machines, huge snow plows, rotary chucking machine, and just this amazing effort that it puts into keeping all the infrastructure open is not only amazing to just witness firsthand, but it makes life a lot easier, obviously, when the big snow is falling. So yeah, they handle it like absolute bosses here.
So James, I have to ask you, transitioning a little bit to volcanoes, let's talk about that and what,
Sure.
Sparked your fancy, because we've got, a lot of, chasers and videographers that they focus, solely on like hurricanes, tornadoes, but volcanoes, how did you get started into that?
Well, when I was a kid at school and everything, this was kind of pre-YouTube and internet days when you were kind of getting an exposure to amazing natural things happening. It was usually on like the Discovery Channel or a VHS of some kind of documentary on, the natural world. And usually the weather and the volcanoes and the earthquake stuff was usually all lumped together into kind of one, like a series or a single show or something. So that kind of getting exposure to all that at once kind of just made me fascinated in all of it, really. But obviously it wasn't until I moved to where there are volcanoes, because there aren't any in the UK, that I was like, wow, living in Hong Kong, it's only, an hour and a half's flight to the Philippines where they have volcanoes. So it just seemed like a natural extension to the whole typhoon thing, because the typhoons hit where volcanoes are erupting. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of should be, I should check out. And then, yeah, once you see a volcano erupt in person, it's it's easy to get hooked. They're quite incredible.
James, how do you even chase that? Sorry, go ahead, Jen. I think we're going to say the same thing, right? How do you even chase that, right? I mean, There's not weather models for volcanoes, right? I mean, we're not talking
yeah,
about.
it's, I suppose it is a bit like the weather. There's a certain amount of kind of risk and opportunity to bust a lot with volcanoes, which I'm sure the chasers in the tornado scene are very familiar with as well. And this was something I wasn't really used to when I first started. My expectations for how easy it was going to be to chase and film volcano, I was like, well, when a volcano erupts, it does it for days and weeks, and it's going to be straightforward. No, it's quite complicated. You can have massive, huge eruptions, which grab all the world headlines, crazy footage, and then it's all over in a matter of 7 or 8 hours. Then I turn up at the volcano and it doesn't do anything for weeks. So that's quite common. But yeah, it's just keeping an eye on the weather. The volcano observatories, many of the volcanoes have amazing webcam systems now, so you kind of need to get to know each volcano's personality, get an understanding of the kind of activity that takes place there, and then just take a punt at it and jump on a flight and see what happens.
So, James, tell us about the coolest, maybe the scariest, the most interesting volcano that you've ever photographed or shot.
That's a great question. I think there's two which spring to mind immediately. The first was back in 2010 in Indonesia at a volcano called Merapi, which is a very notorious volcano in Indonesia. It erupts quite regularly, and unfortunately, it's a very populated volcano. There's a lot of villages on the flanks of it, so when it does erupt majorly, it can cause big problems for the local people. But yeah, there was a big eruption back in 2010, and I was staying at a village on the north side, about 3 or 4 miles away from the volcano, and we'd spent the whole day traversing around the signs, getting shots of it. The weather was great, not much going on. And then to wake up in the middle of the night with someone pounding on my door, it's erupting, it's erupting. I'm like, what's going on? Come outside, and then you can just see kind of in the moonlight, and then there's lightning, just this massive plume of volcanic ash just towering above you. That was freaky. But then you got all just the chaos of the village. It was like something off the movie Dante's Peak, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend it. It's a good one. It was just insane.
That's Twister for volcano chasers, by the
way. Perfect. Wow. Perfect analogy. Yeah, no, people just fleeing in a panic, going in all directions. It was complete crazy sensory overload. And that was like whoa, that was my first real, okay, the volcanoes are the real deal. And another great one was in Japan in 2017, a place called Kirishima. And basically it looked like there was a bit of unrest. So I kind of hiked up to a neighboring crater where you have a great view. It's a volcano with lots of different craters. Most of them are extinct, and then there's active areas. I got up there one morning. The weather was beautiful. The volcano was letting off a bit of steam, and then suddenly it was just me on the side of this mountain. The whole thing just went off, and the whole process took about an hour, and it was just amazing to witness, from just this little bit of steam coming out of this crater to this full-on volcanic eruption taking place in front of me. It was just, whoa, this is a real privilege and something quite amazing to witness.
Wow, James, that's amazing. So what do you bring when you actually, go to see these volcanoes? Like, do you bring like a breathing mask?
A long lens.
Is there any other special equipment rather than what you would typically do for like cold weather, typhoons, all that?
Yeah, I've been wearing face masks long before COVID came along because volcanic ash is very nasty. You want to protect yourself from that. So goggles, volcanic ash, face masks to stop the ash getting in. Because ash isn't like ash you get in your fireplace. It's actually it's basically like tiny shards of glass in a powder form. So it's not stuff you want to be breathing in large amounts or getting in your eyes. And then, a telephoto lens and a drone these days as well. Drones are great. Sending a drone into a volcano, an erupting crater is a lot of fun, and it yields some pretty cool shots.
James, how do you know when you're in danger? I mean, have you ever been like, I'm too close, or I guess have you gotten to the point where you can like read the signs of a volcano and be like, hey, I know it's erupting, but it's not going to blow up the whole mountain that I'm on. How do you know that?
Well, there's always an element of kind of the what ifs, which always goes through my mind, especially, the volcanoes which have grabbed the headlines recently, most notably like what's going on in Hawaii and Iceland over the last year or so, and which a lot of chasers have gone over and filmed, is very, very different kind of eruption to the ones which I go after. So the Hawaii and the Iceland eruptions are usually kind of pretty mild, easygoing lava eruptions, basically. There's not so much of an explosive element to it. The volcanoes I like to go after are the kind of the nasty ones, which are prone to explosions. And it does add that extra element of, as I just said, what if. But yeah, it's really just a case of keeping a decent distance. I know that sounds obvious, but sometimes you can kind of end up getting a bit closer than you should do.
So James, do you look at do you watch the news and see something like what happened in New Zealand, the White Island, and I mean some incredible footage that came out of that from just bystanders, which obviously there's going to be a lot more of that than guys like you running around doing it. But do you get that sort of that moment of crap, like I should have been there? Like, did you have any inkling about that one as an example?
Well, that's the White Island incident, which is an offshore volcano in New Zealand. And this is something this is a phenomenon which has a habit of catching a lot of people unguarded and can be responsible for a lot of the volcano disasters you hear about in the news. It's basically completely unexpected steam-driven eruptions. So these volcanoes have lots of water seeping into them, from the rain or whatever. And that can kind of cause a buildup of steam and pressure, which can just cause steam-driven explosions. It's not necessarily due to lava kind of coming to the surface, but just water and hot rocks mixing is dangerous. The same thing happened in Japan in 2014. There were a load of hikers on this beautiful volcano, in central Japan on a beautiful autumn day, and the whole thing just blew up. One explosion. Hasn't done anything since, but sadly it killed a lot of people. So it's a real risk. But this question actually reminds me of something which really was a very unexpected, I don't know if close call is the right way to describe it, but Krakatoa, you might have heard of that notorious volcano in Indonesia. Well, that's been very active for many, many years now. And I was there in 2018 in the summer, sending the drone over. It was spectacular, explosive eruptions, pretty small. We were camping out on a beach about 2 or 3 kilometers away from the volcano. Had such a good time on that trip with my buddy, drinking beers, droning volcanoes, swimming, absolute just paradise for me. And then December, 6 months later, the whole volcano collapsed into the sea. It triggered a 30-meter tsunami, which destroyed, vast swathes of those nearby islands. You imagine being hit by a 30-meter tsunami. The tsunami reached the populated coastlines of the big islands of Indonesia and sadly killed a lot of people. But it was just, when I was there at the time, the whole concept of that whole volcano just sliding into the sea just didn't exist. So yeah, there are these kind of unforeseen circumstances which, sometimes you really can't prepare for or even anticipate, which exist with them. So yeah, they're scary beasts sometimes.
So, James, let's transition to typhoons. I would love to know what is like the largest or strongest typhoon that you've actually chased, and maybe like one of the scariest moments that you experienced with typhoons, because I know a lot of times you go there and it's completely different than chasing tornadoes, right, where you can escape, but a typhoon, I mean, hundreds of miles wide. So what has that been like?
Yeah, well, without doubt, it has to be Super Typhoon Haiyan, which hit the Philippines almost 10 years ago now. It was a late season.
Yeah.
It struck the central Philippines on November 8th, which is late in the season. Overall activity does start to wind down around that time of year, but when the storms do form, they can be vicious and really, really nasty. And Haiyan was just an apex Westpac super typhoon. It was, I hate to say it, but if there was another category beyond 5, it would have existed in that. I think the JTWC had the peak intensity at 170 knots.
Oh,
which in miles per hour, I don't know, but it's well into the 200s.
It's a buzzsaw.
230 or something. I'm not sure off the top of my head. And it didn't weaken much before landfall. And tragically, it was just all these circumstances aligned that it lined up the front right quad of the storm lined up a highly populated coastal city at the end of a small bay. And it was just a recipe for a massive storm surge disaster, and it killed a horrendous amount of people. But yeah, to be in the city, which was just being, wiped out, was an eye-opening experience.
So what did you do to survive that, James? Let's forget the shooting for a second. Just the survival aspect of it. Where were you? What happened? How did that all go down?
Yeah, well, we turned up in we turned up in the Philippines. When you're chasing a storm, you don't really expect that. You go, okay, we're going to chase a typhoon in the Philippines, as we usually do, done it many times before. And then as the chase kind of progresses, you suddenly realize, okay, right now it's a super typhoon. Got to take this very seriously. Land in Tacloban, less than 24 hours before landfall, and now we're looking at a very strong Category 5 typhoon, and we're not well set up. Our hotel is literally on the waterfront, a little guest house.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, this isn't going to work. Check out of there, move to another hotel, which is a big, solid, sturdy building, 3 floors, whatever, right on the waterfront. That's when the JTWC 170 knots warning comes out, and we're like, well, this isn't going to work at this stage. And this is 8 o'clock at night, 12 hours away from landfall. There was one point during that chase we were stood outside a closed shopping mall in town with nowhere to stay, trying to figure out what to do. And it was a case of, well, we'll just go to a sturdy concrete building in town and kind of just beg someone to let us stay there and promise we'll be useful. We were lucky. We managed to get into a solid hotel in town eventually, slightly away from the waterfront. It had 4 floors made of concrete. So you got shelter from the wind and you got height from the storm surge. And that served us well until it didn't, because things spiraled out of control quite quickly in that storm.
You seem to be sweating just telling the story. I can only imagine what it was like. Can you give us just a little taste of?
Well, it was, and again, this is the thing with when you're in a strong hurricane or typhoon, you can do as much preparation. You could be as well prepared as you think you are, and then the unforeseen circumstances can crop up, and you can go from being in a very solid and good situation to just being like, oh gosh, this is a nightmare. So the storm surge was coming in, and a lot of people were caught off guard. And I was with Josh Morgaman, who I know you've had on the podcast a couple of times, and another guy, Mark, who's a good friend of mine from the UK, and we were doing what responsible storm chasers should do, and just give advice and help people when the shit's hitting the fan, excuse my language. But a lot of people were freaking out. There was panic, people kind of caught in the storm surge, not knowing what to do. So my friend Mark, he starts wading out there to help people, and he gashes his leg open on a big sheet of metal, which is in the disgusting dirty water. And he's only wearing shorts. And I'm talking about a gash, almost 5-6 inches long, right down to his shin bone, completely splits it open. And that's when it's like, all right, we're in serious trouble now. thankfully there was a medic staying in the hotel who had a good, a first aid kit. So he was lucky to be able to get access to professional, emergency medical care immediately, just bandage it up, clean it up. But that's when suddenly the whole kind of chase is just like, oh, we gotta get through this. It's forget the filming, forget the whole weather side of things. It's just right, get through this and get out.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, on that, we're going to take a short break. We've got some Chaser safety tips to share, and we're going to be right back with some more from James, so stay tuned.
Whoa.
Wow.
Quite the story. So I went down a rabbit hole, James, on the tsunami that happened 2011
yeah easily done.
Like rabbit hole, and you know what's amazing, there's new footage all the time showing
Crazy.
up that people are posting. Were you anywhere close to that? Ever shot a tsunami?
Well, I was in Hong Kong at the time, but I flew to Japan 4 days afterwards to start coverage, and got into one of the towns which was hit. I spent about 5 hours there and then left just because I was based on the other side of Honshu. So it was a bit of a drive in, no fuel or anything like that. So, and then they started shutting down flights because of the whole nuclear power plant thing. I was like, oh God, I better get out of here. So it was like literally the first trip was 4 or 5 hours in the actual tsunami zone. I went back about a month later and spent, a few days just driving the whole coast and surveying it and shooting. And it's mind blowing. You can't wrap your head around those forces.
I don't like. I mean, I haven't been to super typhoon Haiyan or anything like that, but I can't imagine anything be worse than what happens in those tsunamis.
No, they are top of. It's like a nuclear bomb went off.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah. But the weird thing about the tsunami was, Japan is so well geared up for earthquakes, and this was a monster earthquake, but the infrastructure held up really well. So you'd be driving through a town, there'd be a few old buildings knocked over, but it would look fine. You couldn't really tell there'd been an earthquake. You kind of go down the hill, turn the bend, and then suddenly anywhere near the coast, it was just wiped out. It was like,
it was 9, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a 9.
Which is unprecedented. Yeah, wild.
Yeah, I suggest there's a video from Sendai Airport. It's a continual take of a guy in the restaurant at the airport just filming the earthquake as it happens, and it's just you're 2 minutes in and it's still there, and like 2.5 minutes, and it's like, is this earthquake ever going to? I can't imagine what it must have been like to just witness something like that. It's crazy.
Phil?
All right. Yep.
Do we want to Garrett and Dan? I noticed Angela left.
How about we wait till the second break, and then because we always miss stuff, we always miss shit, and they ask good questions. But that way we'll get through ours, and then they can make sure they pick us up in the back end. So. But Jen is. But Jen said her computer froze, so she's coming back on.
Okay, I wondered.
And I don't know where.
Phil,
Angela
who's got first question coming out of the break? Are you going to lead?
So I will. So I'll do that. Yep, I'll start with that. But so here's what we'll do, James. We'll coming out of break. We'll kind of do some more Q&A for maybe another 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll hear. We'll hear that. So then it's time for our lightning round. So we'll play our game show. And when we wrap up the game show, we'll take our second break. Okay? You good with that? Any questions?
Yep.
Everything going well? Cool.
Good.
Are you drinking with us, by the way, at 11 o'clock?
Well, I got kids to ferry around, and so I'm having coffee.
11 a.m. on a Friday morning.
How many kids do you have?
I've got 2 boys.
Okay.
Coming up for 9 and 7. Yeah.
Cool.
soon. Yeah.
That's
Just
awesome.
a weather update. No tornado warnings in effect right at the moment.
Yeah, you know what? Let me check on that, Greg. Let me double check you there. I just gotta check my fancy weather radar.
Oh
real
my
quick.
God.
Fact checking here.
Yeah.
He's
You know
going
what?
to his Apple Radar app. His,
Checks out. That checks out.
checks out.
He's checking his TikTok weather.
I'm checking my Kestrel that I kept from Phil. I said I lost.
Hey,
it.
hey, Brady, did you see, I don't know if you get on Instagram, but did you see that Serena did a Brad and Brady impersonation kind of thing?
No way.
You gotta,
Oh my God.
it was like a, you know, she was answering the question of herself being stupid, kind of a back and forth. Awesome. And I responded, I was like, "Oh, is that Brad and Brady's sister?" Or
oh my God. I literally I was at dinner with my aunt and she was like, "So where's Brad?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she was talking about my video and I was like, "Oh my God,
wow.
Got to get back on that."
Good. Your whole family follows you on TikTok, huh?
I know, and they don't listen to the podcast, but they follow me on TikTok. But
all right, well we'll keep rolling here. Jen can jump on when she jumps on. So we'll come in. All right, everybody ready? Coming in, 3, 2. Hey, welcome back, everybody. So here with James Reynolds, and James, you know, we've already heard some great stories, and you've been all over the world. I really want to know, you pull everything you've been doing, you pull that all together. What is the thing you're most proud of in your chasing career? I mean, what's the thing that you can just look back and go, man, I really worked hard for that, or I waited a long time for that, or, you know, those things that you're most proud of?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think what immediately springs to mind is kind of where my work has been most useful. And we're going back to that volcano in Indonesia, Anak Krakatau, which suffered that crazy collapse. I watched that all unfold on the news in horror, but also knew that I needed to get to the volcano again as soon as possible to have a look at what happened and just the changes that had taken place. So about 2 weeks after the volcano obliterated itself, I flew down to Indonesia and hooked up with my guide, jumped on a speedboat and headed out there with my drone and spent a couple of days every day. Couldn't camp out there because everything had been wiped out, but and wasn't one of the first people to actually do a proper kind of thorough documentation of the changes that had taken place at the volcano once the eruption had died down. And yeah, I published the footage on YouTube, and the Indonesian media were kind of, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Can we use the footage? I had kind of volcanologists and scientists at different universities wanting to have access to the footage so they could do 3D models and everything. So it was a pretty scary as well, because, you know, just being somewhere which had such a catastrophic, you know, event take place, and it's Krakatau, you know, this is like one of the most notorious volcanoes that, you know, in human history. It was a little bit spooky as well, but it was just cool to be one of the first people to get out there and take a look and, you know, see a kind of your work have a positive impact.
So James, you had mentioned your friend that you chase with, Mark, I think you said his name was.
Yeah.
So over here in North America, you know, you're out storm chasing, there ends up being lines of vehicles, little storm chaser convergence. Even with hurricanes, you know, you can look at the spotter map and there's all these little red dots to show where people are chasing the hurricanes, where they've set up for landfall. Are there any others doing this over in that part of Southeast Asia, or are you the guy over there?
Yeah, well, there aren't many people doing this. Josh comes over. Josh Morgan comes over, and we've worked together in the past. It's always great to catch up with him when we're both on the road somewhere, you know, out of the way. But yeah, there aren't many people who do it regularly, because It's tough. It's really tough chase turf in the Western Pacific. It's obviously North America has its challenges. Specifically storm surge. I think is probably the biggest issue with landfalling hurricanes in the US. But out here we have a lot of other things to consider. Massive mountain ranges. A lot of times the coast isn't accessible, or you're jumping between tiny little islands, just choosing one target. Imagine being a hurricane chaser in the US, having to choose which town you're going to film the hurricane in 36 hours before, and you can't move. That's what island chasing is like. I think that would be unacceptable to most seasoned hurricane chasers. But that's just the reality out here. So I think that does put off a lot of people. And it can be pretty lonely and intimidating at times, showing up in a new country which is about to get smacked by some really violent weather, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you got to figure out which driving on the other side of the road and all that other stuff as well. So yeah, it's a challenge, but once you get into the swing of it, it has its kind of unique rewards, I'd say.
James, what is the longest time frame that you've actually been away from home on a chase?
Good question.
Well, it's sometimes, and this is kind of a uniquely Western Pacific thing, but sometimes the pattern sets up where you'll get one typhoon forming. So you're like, all right, I'm going to chase that one. Okay, cool. And then whilst you're in the eye wall, you're kind of checking the models and seeing what the next typhoon in 4 days is going to do. So you're like, wow. I always say there's nothing beats being in one storm and checking the models for the next one. I kind of just really dig that. It kind of makes me excited. And there was one back in 2013 where Josh and I were chasing together, and we did 3 typhoons in the space of 1 week. It's not the same storm. This is 3 different typhoons. Wow. But I got young kids, so I try and keep the trip short and sweet. So I'll always try and hop back if I can, even if it's just for a couple of days, just to check in with the family and then hop off again somewhere else. So.
Your kids know what you do.
I'm starting to show an interest in it. I don't force it because I don't want to be one of those dads like, you got a storm chase kind of thing. But nah.
One of those dads. Yeah. There's a lot of those dads out there.
Oh, well, actually, it's probably better than you got to be a lawyer, No, they're curious, and I've taken when he was about 4, I took my older boy to a volcano with my dad. So there were 3 generations of us watching a volcano erupt in Japan. Wow. So that was kind of cool.
So let's go back to the kids for a second. Have you ever done like career day at their school?
I did at my niece's school, I think when she was like 7. Came in, I'm like, hey kids, you want to do something slightly different? That was fun. But yeah, I often keep what I do quiet just because it's so weird. I kind of just prefer to be the mystery man amongst like my neighbors and random acquaintances around here, and especially I think being a foreign guy in Japan, you often get, the occasional strange look here. And if I then went on to explain what I do for a living, I think they would just think I'm totally mad.
Well, you kind of are totally mad, James, just so you know.
So I want to know this, James. Totally mad. You were briefly talking about the last time you were in the States, but it sounded like it was a pretty short stay. What all happened there, and when was this?
Yes, that's... this is a mad pursuit doing this. So yeah, back in my last visit to the US was back in 2019 during Hurricane Dorian. So I was due to meet up with Jim Edds, who's a veteran hurricane chaser, because I don't know if you remember, but it was looking like it was going to be a really serious impact on east coast of Florida. So I was like, well, I'm going to fly over and chase this. So I turn up at the Narita airport in Tokyo, and the flight's delayed, an hour or something. So, shouldn't be a problem. Land in Dallas, stuck on the plane for 2 hours. So I'm like, okay. Missing my connecting flight to Pensacola to meet up with Jim. We'll figure that out. No connecting flight for days. I'm like, okay, so I will book a flight. Oh no, I'm looking at the models, and then suddenly it's looking like, oh, is it going to hit Florida? Is it going to miss the Bahamas? I suddenly have this, I'm going to do something a little different and try and chase Dorian in the Bahamas. So I end up booking a flight to Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas and choose that as my chase location. Get up the next morning, and American Airlines just, I don't want to swear, but they just mess me around so much. They don't open the check-in early enough, and I don't check in time, and then the next flight is delayed because they don't have a pilot, blah, blah, blah. So I end up in Miami, having missed the last flight to the Bahamas. Kind of understandably frustrated and very annoyed, and throw a little bit of a internal temper tantrum and like, I'm not staying in Florida to film this. I'm going home. So yeah, I spent 20 hours in the US just to fly straight back to Tokyo. And then 2 days later, ended up catching a Category 4 in Okinawa in a Stadium I. So there you go. That's kind of
wow.
Wow.
Fate's a bitch.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
James, do you have any tips for aspiring photographers and videographers that are just getting started out, or ones that have been doing it even for a while?
In terms of like kind of chasing globally, or just or filming hurricanes in
kind of all of
general?
it. Yeah.
I think having a supportive partner, if you're in a relationship, is very, very important. Big shout out to my wife. She's just been literally with me from day one, because the night of our first date, I kind of had to cut short because I needed to go chase a typhoon in Vietnam the next day. So I was like, this is me. This is what you're getting. If you're cool with that, awesome. And she was. So.
It's not you. It's the typhoon.
It's a typhoon.
That's amazing.
So I think, and I have unfortunately seen people's passions be crushed or held back by significant others who don't approve. So, I think it's find someone you're compatible with who embraces your passions and support them. I think is a bit of advice I haven't heard from anyone else before. But yeah, it's and especially if you're going to chase internationally, it's just have a huge amount of patience. Things aren't going to go to plan. Keep your expectations low. Hope for the best, expect the worst. I think is a good mindset to have when approaching this. My hit rate with typhoons is probably, for every 10 typhoons I chase, 6 I'll get into the eye wall, and 4 will just be a complete kind of waste of time. I'm in the wrong place, or something goes wrong. So.
Pretty good percentage if I've ever seen one.
Well, hey, that's the sound. It's time for our lightning round. This is James, our game show of flashy and brilliant questions. We enjoy playing with our guests.
Brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are playing one called East or West Box Office. East or West Box Office. So what this is, James, I checked what were the top 20 box office films of all time in Japan. What were the 20 box office films of all time in the US and Canada? And I'm going to ask you some questions about those. And we're going to find out what you feel like, which movies you felt were maybe the top 20 in the US, Canada, or which were top 20 in Japan.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So now I know you've only been in Japan for 7 years, but you have to know what the top 20 box office movies of all time in Japan are, right? We'll try this out. So, freaks can always help out. So I always tell our freaks, hey, they can help, but I don't know if I would trust them that much. But
I would.
But that's just me. That's just me. So here we go. So here's the first movie. Here's the first movie, James, and you have to tell me, was this in the top 20 or higher? Really, you just need to tell me, was this rated higher in the box office of Japan or higher in the box office of US, Canada? Does that make sense? So the first one's E.T. Was this a higher box office hit in Japan or North America?
Oh, I'm going to go North America on that one.
Yeah. Really? Whoa! You would be wrong. It was it's 15th of all time in Japan.
Wow.
It's not in the top 20 of the US.
Interesting.
Really, not in the top 20.
I'm surprised by that.
I am
It's
really
too good.
surprised.
You see, it's
So you're
too
off to a
good.
great start, James. So we're gonna hit Frozen 2. Frozen 2. Was this higher box office hit in Japan or US, Canada? North
Frozen
America.
2. I'm going to go the North America again.
North America. Okay.
Yeah.
No. What? That would not be right.
No way.
You're ripping
Come
it
on,
up.
can he throw out a Godzilla? Or is that
You're
coming out?
ripping it up.
He would have known the answer to that if he would have had girls instead of boys.
I mean,
All right, so
yeah.
let's
Frozen 2 not
let's
good?
do this.
Frozen great.
So Avatar, is that higher in the
Oh.
box office in North America or Japan?
Well, I think that was number one ever in North America. So yeah, I think that's the record of all time.
It's so
Finally.
it might be it was shown in IMDb. It's showing 4th in the US, 11th in Japan. So
Oh, okay.
definitely higher in
We're
the
talking
US.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
what
know.
2 just came out?
All right, how about Titanic?
Whoa.
Higher in Japan or North America?
Oh, I'm gonna go Japan.
Really?
You would be correct.
Really?
Oh, surprise.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
third in Japan, 8th in the US.
Wow.
That was
US, Canada, North America.
Both James Cameron movies as well.
Yeah,
good point.
All right, let's pull this one out. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Ooh. I'm gonna go Japan. They had a big marketing campaign here for that one. Yeah.
You would be correct. 19th in Japan wasn't in the top 20 in
You
North
talking about the
America.
song, Phil? That's not a
It was about Queen. It was about Queen.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
We
Did you see that one,
apologize
James?
for
That was,
Brady.
that was a good movie.
Never seen it.
It was very good.
Okay.
I haven't seen it,
Oh, you
but
should.
it looks good.
All right, how
very
about Incredibles 2? Incredibles 2.
Sequels,
Yeah.
US, North America.
There you go. 13th. 13th. How about
Greg.
Star Wars Episode 7 Force Awakens?
Oh my god.
Oh,
Greg, you don't.
Star
What do you got
Wars
against
felt
the
like-
Force Awakens, man? That movie's great.
Star Wars 7. I can't even. Is that one of the new ones or the old ones?
Oh my
New
God. Well,
It's the newest
okay.
old one.
You're not a Star
the
Wars
newest old
geek, I
one.
guess, huh?
It's okay. I'm the same way, James. I'm the same way. I have no idea.
The originals are great. The new ones are kind of all just blend into one.
I agree.
Japan.
Japan? Yeah, hey, you were on a roll, but no. That's actually number 1 in the U.S., Canada, North
I know
America,
that was
number
the
1.
US because I saw it 7
What?
times that first week at all.
Hold on
I
a
was
second,
most
Phil. That
responsible.
Force Awakens is number 1
Really?
In North America.
in North
Not
America.
globally, but
Like
North
more
America.
than Titanic and Avatar and
Yeah.
Greg, I'm telling you,
that's-
me and my
yeah.
friends, literally like 20 of us, we saw it like 7 times in the first week. So
Put it over the top.
Brady, I
Word of
had
mouth.
no idea you were such a
Good job,
geek.
Brady.
I was geek.
I don't like the next
Making it
one.
number 1.
Great.
All right, we'll do a couple more. James, how about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
oh my god.
Bigger box
Japan.
office hit in Japan or North America?
And they got a whole Harry Potter theme park being built here. Japan.
That's correct.
Greg,
Was number
what
10 in
movies do
Japan,
you like, Greg?
wasn't in the top 20 in North America.
Really?
All right, last one. Last one. I don't have a drum roll sound effect, but Armageddon. Armageddon was in the top 20 box
yeah.
office hits of either Japan or
Terrible
North
film.
America. Which one?
Terrible. North America.
No, Japan. It was 16th. Number 16 in Japan.
me.
It wasn't
egg on
top
my
20 in
face
North
there.
America.
That's to me.
Great movie. Oh, I
So
cried
good old
during that
Armageddon.
movie.
That's right up there with Dante's Peak, I think, with famous movie. So great job
Now,
on
now,
that, James.
Phil, tell us, was there a Twister anywhere on either list?
No,
Wow.
no,
Not even
no,
Sharknado.
not at all. But hey, James, do this. Let our listeners and viewers know where they can find you on social media and find all your great videos.
Yeah, it's at Earth Uncut TV on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, basically. So yeah, that's where you can find me, at Earth Uncut TV, or one word.
Very good. Awesome. We'll tell you what, hey, we're gonna take another break. We're gonna be back with some hashtag Weather Fools, and we got a good old visit from Weather Trollbot 5000. So stay tuned. And I played the wrong sound effect. All right, MJ, you can throw in some applause there. In the edit.
We'll see what we can do.
I think we should do like a random sound effect there. That's what I think.
All right. Good job, James. That was
great. That was awesome.
Your middle was just strong as all get go. You were.
I could listen to those stories all day.
Yeah, I have a habit of kind of just becoming a bit word salady at times. So I hope I was on point.
Hey, James, do you ever do like when you're shooting? Do you ever get asked to do reporting as well? Like, do you ever get contracted? Like, does somebody say, "Can you report on the thing for a specific agency or something?"
Usually, what I'll do is I'll do my thing, and then I will upload the footage to Weather Channel or CNN or whoever, and then sometimes I'll be on air and do live hits and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like Skype or whatever. So, I do a bit of that. It's been a while.
Before we get to some questions from our VIPs, because they always have the best ones, but can you do a soundbite for us and just say, hey, it's Global Storm Chaser James Reynolds, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast?
Sure. So I just right now?
Go ahead.
So what can you say? Do that one more time? So
you can say what you want, but just say, hi, this is Global Storm Chaser James Reynolds, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Hi, this is Global Storm Chaser James Reynolds, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Bingo.
Okay, cool.
Sounded great. All right, Garrett, I'll start with you. What do you got for James?
Oh, I don't know. I think he's hit everything kind of on the mark there. It's coincidental. I've got a friend that I work with that just landed in Guatemala yesterday, and she's hiking through the mountains. I think they're around. I think it was Pacayú and Fuego, I believe. So
nice volcanoes down there.
Hoping to see some action there over the next few days, but you never know. But I don't know if I have a question, but it's awesome to meet you. It's
likewise. Thanks for having me on and hanging out.
Cool. Dan, what do you got?
Well, I won't ask you how you enjoyed your trip to Dallas. So, but other than cameras, what's a short list of things you always take with you, no matter where you're going?
Ziploc bags, Ziploc bags, and kitchen towel. Those two things, you can keep your gear safe from the elements and your lens clear, and you can get the job done. Basically, those are like really important. And a helmet as well.
A helmet?
I kind of started skimping on that. I was like, I don't need the helmet; it's for sissies. And then almost had a roofing tile land on my head, so I was like, okay, got to pack the helmet.
That's good. That's good. That's a good one. I like that.
Hurricanes
good
and
call.
typhoons, and I got to do the goggles as well. I haven't been doing that, so I'm gonna buy some goggles.
Thank you.
That's really smart.
Yeah, that's
little
good. That's
leaves,
good.
Twigs hitting you in the eyes can be pretty unpleasant.
Yeah.
Just a little.
James, next time you chase, can I just come with you? Like, I just want to put on my helmet, I want to put on my goggles, and I want to be in whatever you're in. I'm in.
Yeah,
James, let me just say from personal experience, all that's going to happen is anything cool that happens, Brady's just going to go, whoa!
Yep. Whoa! Don't give me any weather equipment because I'll probably lose it. But
that's good. We get what hurricane chasers don't get. We get big waves out here. I'm a huge. I just love big waves, and with these Pacific typhoons, especially Taiwan and Okinawa, you got the kind of the trend, because the ocean's so deep, so we don't get the storm surge, but we get massive surf, and people haven't seen that before. Usually, like, whoa, it's very cool.
That's cool.
We're not talking boogie board. We're talking about like surfing waves, right? Okay.
No, we're talking about like crushers.
Okay, great.
Monstrous walls of water. Never get bored of that.
Oh, I'd be freaking out. out.
Yeah, me too.
No doubt.
You on a cliff top.
Do you, James? You want to stick around for another 15 minutes while we finish up, or okay?
Oh, shall I unmute my microphone? Or...
So here's the fun part. So you now get to be a part of the peanut gallery and our freaks. So as we share videos and silly stuff, you can comment on it. Okay. You can, you can say whatever you want.
I'll stick around. It's fun.
All right.
Speaking of, if you've got Weather Fools, share your screens, please.
All right. So Brady, you're bringing up Weather Fools.
Yep.
And I will say this. So I'm going to share 5 tonight.
Whew. All right.
And I've got way more than that. So, but I'm going to share 5. It's been a busy 4 weeks. Of stupid. But here's the thing, Brady. I've got one that's a video that I have to share differently than I share my internet tabs. So if you can start with me or something, I'll share the video first and then come back to me later so I can unshare the screen and then share again and do all that crap. Okay.
MJ, can you see mine?
I got Brady and Greggles. Yep.
Okay.
Who else has Weather Fools?
And Phil now.
I don't think anybody else needs Weather Fools.
You're not wrong.
All right, and then Brady, when you're done, episode 178, show notes on stormfrontfreaks.com. Cool. And then Jen, you're coming into a little Mr. Roboto, Weather Trollbot 5000, so you can introduce her. And I have to quick. Hold on, I got it quick, or I did it already. I printed out. So we've got 2 Weather Trollbots to share. MJ Freak Fan Box.
We got some love these last few weeks. Yes.
Okay, so Freak Fan Box, and then we'll close up. So make sure you've got your closing script ready to go.
We got a tornado warning in that line east of Dallas.
Interesting.
I'll check on that, Greg. Hold on, let me check on that.
Thanks, Brady.
Fact checker.
Phil, any special way to introduce Trollbot?
Dan's got it.
5000.
So just, you can remind people that we found this robot at a garage sale, and we've repurposed her to interpret what our weather friends were really thinking when they responded to internet trolls.
Perfect.
Okay.
Greg, I don't know. It's looking pretty weak. I'm not really sure if that's actually a tornado warning, if that's just a,
No, I know. Who trusts those people
Dan's
at the
on it.
National Weather Service? Yeah.
Yikes.
How's that rotation looking, Dan?
James, where were you born?
In a pretty scruffy town outside of London.
Me
called High
too.
Wycombe. Oh, were you?
Sidcup in Kent.
Okay.
You were born in London, Greg?
Yeah.
Or near London?
Really?
Wow. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot you don't know about me, Brady.
Oh, well,
Probably
we're
better that way.
we're getting it. We're gonna have a heart-to-heart on the Storm Chase trip. I'm gonna learn everything there is to know about.
Okay,
Greggles.
can we wear matching jackets and everything too?
Yes.
Do you have a Lululemon Canada jacket? Because I'll be wearing mine. So you better get yours.
Have you, Brady? Are you coming, or what's your story?
Yeah, I'm coming.
You are now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so you guys ready to do what? MJ, you were muted. Did you say something?
Dan was going to tell us about the.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
Greg interrupted Dan.
I don't know if you can see it. It's starting to, it's up and down, but yeah, it's back.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Looks like you've been playing with your crayons. That's what I see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense now that you see it on that screen. Yeah.
Wait, that
And
doesn't
it's-
show that way on my radar.
Whoa, is there a bunch of purple in there? Whoa.
Well, the purple is range folding,
Okay.
but so yeah. And you got to remember, it's northeast Texas, so that's kind of like a radar dead zone.
Yeah. Why
Dan,
is
what
there no
radar?
radar in that zone? Like that seems like a giant oversight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Hey MJ, when Brady starts with me on my video, I'm gonna go ahead and add it, because when you add it, it starts the audio right away as well.
Okay.
So I'll add that one, and you can take it off, but I'll just add it when I'm done talking, introducing it. Okay. All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Brady, here comes the Who. Coming in. 3, 2. Oh, what was that? Oh, that was Dan. Dan, you got to mute yourself. Oh, he is muted. Brady, was that you? Shuffling?
No way, man. No way.
What is
Who
that?
is that? Who just did that?
Oh, Jen?
Aha!
It was Jen.
Fuck. Okay, here we go. 3, 2.
Woo! Welcome back, everyone. Who is that? That's the Who. Who am I? I'm Brady. What is this segment? This is Weather Fools. For those that don't know, for those that are forgetful, or for those that is their first time watching or listening to this podcast, Weather Fools is us as the freaks. We're going out on the web, the dark web, as Phil likes to say. We're checking, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever we can find. We're looking for people that did something not so smart, and it deals with the weather. I know we have some overachievers tonight. Phil has several weather fools, so buckle up, everyone. Phil, who is your weather fool this week?
Hey, Brady, it's been a couple episodes since we've gone through hashtag Weather Fool, so I've been collecting them. But you guys remember there was a tornado that went through New Jersey? Was a week ago or a couple weeks ago. I can't remember now. But so this was just kind of funny. I thought it was really funny. But there was a news station that was interviewing a woman that had gone through this New Jersey tornado. Thought it was really funny. So here we go.
And then it got real dark, and then things started. I never seen the wind blew like I did. It blew so I said, Gloria, let's get in the tub. It's a tornado. And I ran in the tub. I said, ah. I was doing like Dorothy. I said, well, if you're going to take me, Lord, you're going to take me in the tub, because I'm going to sit here until it's over. And my sister got in the tub, and me and her, we was like, okay, we're going to stay here. And then the next thing I know, everything got quiet. I heard things going boom, bam, boom. I said, ooh, we're going to go with a bam. Okay. And then everything got quiet. I said, okay, all right. So we came back out. I mean, we didn't come outside. We was looking. The sun was out.
She is awesome. Oh my
Nice.
gosh.
Okay.
Scream right there.
That's gonna turn into a TV show right there. I tell you that right now. Wow.
That's awesome.
That might, I'm going to be honest, that might be one of the best weather fools I've ever heard.
Yeah, for sure.
She's got to get a show. She's got to, get signed by someone. But all right, well, let's switch gears. Greg, who is your weather fool this week? We're going to come back to Phil. Greg, who is your weather fool this week?
Well, I can't follow up on mine's just a goofy car sliding down a hill in Portland. This comes from the Weather Channel Instagram feed. This is a guy in a Tesla in Portland after a snowfall on an icy road. He's sliding down.
Right down sideways.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's move on. I can't top Phil's. Let's go. Let's move on to somebody else, Brady. I mean,
you would think the Tesla would have some sort of like a robot arms or something that would come out that would be able to stop it. Like if Elon Musk is listening to this, Elon, what are you doing? Like
he
that's
just needs some
unacceptable.
Sean Casey spikes to go into the ground
Yeah.
and
Come on,
anchor
come on.
them. Yeah.
If I can play video games in a Tesla, why can't it stop from sliding down an icy hill? Come on.
Yeah, Garrett says, "Go gadget arms." That's what we put on a Tesla.
Tesla arms.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Well, cool. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do mine. And it's once again not going to be like Phil's. It's not going to be able to top that.
Yeah.
But so mine, I actually just saw this. This was from a couple hours ago in Dallas. And the person driving really wasn't a weather fool until you hear her reaction to this. So she's driving. There is some storms going through Dallas, and I'll let it play right there.
Driving back in Texas, or really back in Dallas
She's driving, and you can see some electrical lines kind of sparking, and then. So she's driving, and you know, she was going like 40. Now she's going 20, and she's got her phone just videoing the floor.
Holy shit!
And she's like,
Oh my gosh!
let's go ahead and hear that again. Right when the.
That's a good one too, though. That's a good one, Brady.
Oh, that sounds like James's first chase when he was just a young lad.
Yeah, so basically, it was this woman freaking out because some electrical line just. It wasn't a legit explosion for those that can't see it, but her reaction was pretty gold. So, all right, well, Phil, let's head back to you for your several other weather fools. People have been pretty stupid apparently. Phil, go ahead.
All right, so the first one I'm going to share with you is on Twitter from Jamie at GNewman1979. Like Gary Gnu. But anyway, this I wanted to try and share the audio on this because it's someone that's got ice skates on a frozen lake or river. I'm not quite sure, but they're just kind of slowly moving around on their skates, and it's important to listen.
Is that cracking?
That cracking.
Yes.
Cracking.
Well, look at
Oh my
you.
god,
See
you
it.
can actually see
You
the
can see
cracking
it.
happening.
Oh
Oh my
gosh.
lord.
Phil, is that a fake sound effect?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Oh my god.
Sounds
but
like
you
the
can see
laser
it
tag
cracking.
sound effect.
You can definitely see it
You
cracking.
could see some real cracking though. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this does
that's
not
fool.
seem like
That's
a good
foolish.
idea.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Oh my
How are
God,
they even
what
moving?
doing?
I mean, like, are they pushing off? Is
There's
that
a little push. There's a little push.
I
Oh,
want to know how
like
deep
you
that
saw
was.
that. That's crazy.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
you
just
can
not
see 'em.
smart.
no,
No.
not smart at all.
Oh, like what was
That,
our thought? Hey, let's go skate on some, frozen ice that's gonna crack. Like, what are they doing? I don't know.
I know there's a lot of lakes that have that effect where just if the conditions are right, when the lake freezes, you can get that like clear top layer and you can see right down into the lake. But to have it actually cracking underneath your feet with skates on seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
yes.
All right, next one. This comes from the Tonight Show. Jimmy Fallon. Brady, you'll like this one. This is, I think Jimmy Fallon was watching some of our past shows with Brady's "What Happens Next" segments. But this is Jimmy pulls a little some.
On the look to that one.
Yeah, the landing not so much, but the look was pretty good.
That was a good Brady what happens next kind of a deal because
Yeah.
you kind of knew that was coming. But all right, last two I've got are this comes from Corey Reppenhagen on Twitter. He said, friend sent me this video from her trip down I-70 yesterday. So you can see it's pretty slick. There's some snow. And watch this car coming up on the left.
Ooh.
Just started
man.
skidding and slipping and sliding and just thought
Goodbye.
they might pass on the right. Have you ever done that? Like when you think, okay, like the right lane is really plowed well, but the left lane's not, but you think you can get by the slow traffic on the left lane.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
That's so
a lot of times you can't.
But that one was dumb from the start.
You can't.
Yeah, it was.
So, all right, last one. This comes from Thomas Nepshield, $11. I have no idea what that is, but said here's a video. Said, would you have acted as calm as me and watch this lightning strike?
Oh
Gosh,
double.
was that building
what,
right?
Whoa.
What are you thinking? Like 50 yards away?
Yeah, not very
Yeah.
far.
Not far at all.
And if you played the audio, you'd be able to hear the click, click, click of the lightning before the strike.
Gosh.
Jeez.
That's
He
scary.
just kept filming it.
Yeah.
He doesn't move. I mean, that's kind of incredible.
Yeah, he
actually.
doesn't even seem startled, really. Or
Right.
just
There's very small shake to that as opposed. What would
Little
Brady
bit.
do?
Oh, I'd be screaming. I would
What
be
would Brady
losing
do?
my mind. Yeah. Well, Phil, those were how many was that? Was that 6?
Total 5. No, 5. I'll bring
Total
5 or
five.
6 next time.
All right. Every time we're going to expect this level of this quality as well as quantity, both every time. So, well, guys, that was Weather Fools. If you want to check out those videos, we'll have them all. Just go to stormfrontfreaks.com. Look for episode 178.
All right, it is Weather Trollbot 5000 time. This is actually one of my favorite segments of our podcast because, I mean, it's just absolutely hilarious. So if you don't know what Weather Trollbot 5000 is, I will tell you. So Phil found her at a garage sale and we refurbished her a little bit. And basically, a lot of times, some weather reporters and meteorologists get some not so nice weather trolls. And Weather Trollbot now 5000 is programmed to tell us what they were really thinking when they were responding so positively and respectfully when they got these nasty messages from the weather trolls. So let's see what she has in store for us today.
So we got a couple to share with you. One comes from one of our VIPs and friends, Dan Wallace. Dan sent us. Dan probably doesn't remember this. It's probably been a couple months, but Emily Sutton, who is a meteorologist for KFOR Channel 4 in Oklahoma City, she had this from Susie. So she scratched out the last name, so we couldn't tell. But it was from Susie, and Susie emailed Emily and said, "Get rid of the brown wrinkled dress. You know that you can only lose up to 20 when the baby is born. You have to work off the big ass."
Oh, my gosh.
Whoa. I mean, with the name like Susie, I mean, it was bound to happen.
We just lost all our Susie listeners. Thanks,
I'm
Brady.
so sorry, any Susies out there. I'm sure the Suze is great, you know.
All right, so you know, as Jen said, right, all of our weather friends, they always respond. If they respond really nice and professional. And so here was what Emily said. She said, "Hi, Susie. Don't worry. The dress is a rental, but I happen to like wearing it. My doctor says my weight gain is perfectly healthy. We've waited and prayed a long time for this miracle baby, so I'm enjoying every moment of pregnancy, especially my big ass." She put in parentheses, "My husband likes it too. Did you know that many women pay good money for a big butt? If your intent is to bring me down, you can't. I'm full of joy now more than ever. I know hurt people. And I'm sorry you are hurting, and I hope you find your sunshine, Emily."
Wow, that is a great response.
I would just delete my Twitter account. I'd be like, you know what? I'm out.
All right, so what we do, because honestly, that was a well thought out response, right?
Beautiful,
very professional, nice, and I've met Emily before, very friendly and full of sunshine, so it doesn't surprise me. But I probably know, and you all know, that when you first read something like that, that's probably not what you were thinking. And so the joy of Weather Trollbot 5000 is we'll plug all this information in, and she's going to kick out what Emily was really thinking. So we got to put it in first. And then she's going to have to compute everything.
Here is what Emily was really thinking. Holy shit, do I need to even respond to this ass nugget? Susie, since your pie hole is already open, shove a little bit of that sunshine down your gullet. I look fucking amazing.
That is awesome. That's one of my favorite ones.
S nugget. What is an S nugget? I don't know what that is.
Shit nugget.
Brady. Night. Okay.
All right, so great job, Emily. We're behind you 100% on that.
Wow,
First
Trollbot is
thought.
on point right
You know
now.
what? As a sister-in-law that now is expecting, I completely get it. So I thought I'd just break the news here. Lindsay is going to have a boy. You know what? Actually, I'm really sorry. Lindsay, please don't. I really hope she's not listening because I don't know if I was supposed to say that.
That's the margaritas talking. That's what. Just tell her that's the margaritas talking.
Thrilled that this is where the announcement happened.
Tell someone. I had to tell it. I'm sorry. I had to tell it.
All right, and what would Trollbot be? Would not be complete if we didn't have something from Ginger Z. So this is from Gary Capitosti. I don't know. It was on Twitter, but we're not afraid to put people under the bus, Gary. But this was to Ginger Z, who's the chief meteorologist at ABC News. So here's what he said on Twitter. He said, Ginger, lose the new hairdo. You're a pretty woman, but that doesn't look good at all. So Ginger responded. She's good at responding to this stuff, but she responds really nice as always. She said, "Hey,
she's had a lot of practice, Phil."
Yeah. She said, "Thanks for your opinion, Gary. The great part about it is I like it, and so do lots of other folks. And it's hair. It changes and grows. It falls out and it grays. It doesn't define who we are. It also doesn't change my ability to communicate my science. Have a great day."
Nice.
Wow.
Well done.
Very, very well.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and enter that into Trollbot.
That's what he's actually thinking.
This will be good.
Here is what Ginger was really thinking. I love how my weather communication is getting through to nutbags like Gary. This dick shit wants to tell me about my hair. Hair changes all the fucking time, so suck it, Gary.
That's amazing. Oh my god, she's on fire tonight. We just need to keep it rolling.
Oh,
we
always on fire.
We love weather Trollbot.
She's on fire. So anyway, Emily and Ginger, we love you. Keep rocking it. We love what you're doing. So, all right, MJ.
Send me a postcard. Drop me a line. You've got mail, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, we got mail. Yes, we got some love from all of you out there the last couple of weeks. And we started off with Morgan, who simply says, "Love you all so much." So
thank you, Morgan.
Thank you, Morgan. Right
Hopefully,
back.
no notes from Susie, right, MJ?
Right
No
back
notes
at
from
you. I
Susie?
don't think so. No.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
No, we move on to Billy Bowling on Twitter. Was responding to a story Brett Adair had tweeted, and Billy says, "I've heard this story on Stormfront Freaks a few times now. Never gets old." So,
Oh, love
Right
that.
on.
so
Very
paying
good.
attention.
That's
Paying
a cool
attention.
name, Billy Bowling. I mean, that's
Billy Bowling. Yeah.
Yep.
I named my kid that.
And
That's the margarita talking. Brady, careful. Careful.
Or not my kid. It's my sister-in-law.
that's right. Careful is
Oh,
right.
sorry.
All right, let's move on to Clarence Smith, who checked in on Twitter, and there was a discussion going on about weather-themed beers. And Clarence says, "Do you listen to Stormfront Freaks? There's usually a weather-themed beer mentioned every episode. I like Cold Core Brewery. Sounds refreshing."
Right on. Cold core.
I'm all about the beer.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm all
Yes.
about the cold core funnels.
So thank you, Clarence. Our friend Lori Grace checked in a couple of times. The first one was listening to a great episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast covering the 2023 National Storm Chaser Summit. If you don't follow, you should. So
Love it.
really appreciate that.
Thank you,
Shout out,
Lori.
And
Great guest too.
Absolutely.
She's great.
Yep. And she goes on. So I told you we were getting some love. She says, "Just love the good vibes when I listen. Listening to the podcast sets the tone to look forward to more fun with friends this chase season."
Right on.
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful. Yes.
Boom.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Lori. Lunalight checked in, our friend from Germany. We haven't heard from for a little while. And she has, I guess, what would be a WX resource, perhaps. So I'm going to ask folks, and she says, have you ever had the RAMMB tools on the show? Does that ring a bell with anybody?
No.
I don't know.
It's the regional and mesoscale easy for me to say.
Easy.
Regional and mesoscale meteorology branch. It's part of NOAA. It's in Fort Collins, Colorado. And if you just Google RMMB, it's really the first thing that'll come up. She says, I highly recommend the slider. It's a satellite. It's for she says, for the satellite geeks.
Nice.
Yes.
So if there's a WX resource,
I think it's worth having someone from there on the show just so we can all try to explain what that acronym stands for.
Yes, I know.
Try and read that.
I'm going to be honest.
Right
The first thing that came up was a die-cast metal decorative surface mount remote. RRMB, commercial M16 remotes, provides
RRMB.
exceptional light output. in
Can
a
you mute
compact,
him?
traditional
Mute him,
design.
MJ. Just mute him.
All right. And then we've got Adam Skinner. And Adam checked in and is working on a new storm chasing game. And so he had tweeted about that, and I believe Phil probably retweeted it. And so Adam says back to us, thanks so much for the retweet, Stormfront Freaks. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work, and I can't wait to show you more about our 3D Weatherverse. So it's a 3D storm chasing game that they're working on. And that's the Freak Fan Box. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, and obviously, I always appreciate when you take the time and you guys write those written reviews, whether it's on Apple. See, I'm Brady. I should have you finish up, but whether it's on Apple Podcast or anything else, you can also reach us via email, questions@stormfrontfreaks.com. Or you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search Stormfront Freaks and mention something there. We'll get you on the next show. So I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. So thanks for listening or watching, everybody.
And before we announce the guest of our next show, if you like the show, don't forget to follow the show on your podcast player so you get notified and receive the latest episodes of our show delivered right to your library the moment they get released. Find all the podcast player options at stormfrontfreaks.com, and please help us out and send a friend your favorite episode.
And of course, you can always subscribe to our YouTube page and watch previous versions of Stormfront Freaks Raw, which are completely unedited, clearly. The best ones to watch. Here you can hear all the great conversations during the breaks, great questions from our Patreon VIPs, and who knows what else gets censored out of our audio podcast. Just search Stormfront Freaks on YouTube or find the link on our website.
And I'm going to stick with that love theme. We'd love to have you on our Patreon team. You can find a level of support that fits your budget as low as $1 a month. Visit stormfrontfreaks.com to find the Patreon link so you can join our Raw broadcasts, have access to exclusive merch, or get on the waiting list to become one of our limited VIPs and be with us and our guests in the studio on every show.
And don't forget to check out all the new Stormfront Freaks merchandise currently for sale for this chase season. You got to have it. Hats, T-shirts, sweatshirts, tanks. Go to stormfrontfreaks.com and check it out.
And Freaks, let's find out how people can follow you guys. Greg, I'll go back to you. Start with you first.
Yep, Tornado Greg on social media. And check out my website, cameraeasy.ca. If you've got a DSLR or mirrorless camera, want to learn how to use it, I can teach you online. So cameraeasy.ca.
Very good. Jen?
You can follow me on Twitter at jwatson_WX, as well as Instagram or TikTok, Jennifer Weather.
Brady? Margarita Brady?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm at Columbus Weather with Brady, and you guys probably see me on CNN, Fox News, all the other sites, so check me out on those as well.
I don't watch those stations. MJ?
At Mark Stormpod on Twitter, and it's a MARC.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at our Stormfront Freak account.
Awesome, and then special thanks to our guest, James Reynolds.
Yeah.
Whoa. Thunder and applause. That's awesome.
That is a big deal.
I know. It's pretty epic. Well, guys, next episode, we got a pretty exciting episode for you guys. We've got director Jamie Winterstern. Also, I need a last name of Winterstern. But we've got him on our next episode, joining us the night before the big premiere of his new film, Supercell, which I've seen the trailer. It looks pretty amazing.
Looks awesome.
So check that out. We'll be talking about his storm chasing film starring Alec Baldwin, pretty big name, and sharing some clips from the film as well. So if you're a part of our Patron members, or Patreon, as Phil likes to say, we'll be able to watch it live on Thursday, March 16th, actually the night that we air. So check that out. The edited audio podcast will be available to everyone on opening night, Friday, March 17th.
All right. And I do want to say this before we close out. Have any of you listened to Jen's meteorologist and storm chaser affirmations?
Yeah.
You guys are they're pretty good. They're one of our bonus episodes if you haven't heard that. But so I'm gonna for James and Greg and Dan and Brady and Jen, Garrett and MJ, I'm gonna signal the all clear. We'll catch you guys next time. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Peace.
James, you're so awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
That was fun, James. That was some good stories.
Thanks so
We could do another episode just with some more, I'm sure. So that was good. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, James, you're wondererful.
I felt like when you were doing that hurricane story, I was there. I mean, that was crazy.
Oh, well, good,
It was
good,
absolutely
good.
crazy.
I'm itching to get over to the States and start meeting people in person. You know, it's been so many years of just over Twitter and, you know, so I'm hoping, hopefully we can all maybe meet up at the conference, the summit next year. Kind of getting itches to come over. We'll see.
Come to Ohio. We've got corn. We've got some football. We've got, you know, what else do we got, Phil? What else have we got?
We had tornadoes this week.
Yeah, you guys had tornadoes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can call those tornadoes.
Any of you all over this part of the world, let me know.
Well, we will.
For a vacation
Oh man, that would be a
let me know.
bucket list trip for me. That's for sure.
Yeah,
let's make it happen.
Garrett, Dan, you got any other questions you had for James? Bless you.
Bless you.
I can't think of anything. It's been a blast, though, for sure.
Not really. What if you came to the States and the national tornadoes or the national summit was in Dallas?
I would.
Going to be, I think.
I would fly to Los Angeles and drive.
That's amazing.
You can pick up Josh. You can bring Josh with you from LA.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how many times have you and Josh hooked up?
It was quite back in 2013, 2014. We hooked up about 4 or 5 times.
Oh, really? Okay.
And now, kind of, because we both kind of do our own thing, we kind of go in parallel, but we get on great. So
talking chasing, right?
Yeah.
I knew you were thinking that, Brady. I just couldn't tell.
I was waiting for that one.
So,
he was struggling.
Last time I saw
it was bad phrasing. So.
Yeah, last time I saw him was in the Philippines after a typhoon in 2019, just before Christmas.
Okay.
Before the world ended.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So crazy.
All right. Well, thank you again, James, and we'll post like we mentioned, we'll post the audio podcast probably Sunday once we edit that. And,
make sure I retweet
Monday to you.
yeah, it's true. It will be probably Monday for you. Yeah. But yeah, I'll link with you and share it with you so you've got it. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally made this work. I wasn't sure just because I knew you were in Japan, and I've had a hard time. I've tried to set up stuff with people from the UK a couple times, but it's really late for them.
This is the perfect time. If my kids were here, it would be a nightmare.
Perfect. That's great. So
think about the technology, though. Honestly, God, there's zero lag in this conversation,
No
and
kidding.
he's in frickin' Japan. I mean, it's.
Greg, actually, this conversation happened yesterday, and you're just watching
Right,
recording.
sorry.
That's very cool.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Well, James, for myself, it was great to finally get a chance to see you and chat with you and everything. So,
And safe chasing, all of you who are going to be chasing.